All right, let's make sure that we are live. Let me test it, get everything ready. Today we're having fun. Today we are having fun. Okay. All right. I want to hop right in it because I might get 2 live streams in today. Get my notes. So let me tell y'all, I turned 32 and you ain't see me. You did not see me, honey. We turned 32, period. Y'all just don't understand. Also, one of my videos did really well. It did some really good numbers. I'm sorry if the lighting is whatever, but I did the blinds a certain type of way. Anyway, I have some stuff for my birthday list. It's going to be like more technical stuff to make this better. Like we're going to get a stabilizer. So, cause I be shaking the table and the camera is not completely stable. Yeah. So we're going to get some technical things for the lives and stuff. And I might get a vlogging camera or whatever. We did our hair. As you can see, it looks better in my opinion. And I don't know if I like the lighting, but we're just gonna roll with it. Maybe not. Hold on. Because usually I try to have everything together, but it was people Waxy. Yeah, that's why I was doing it like that. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna edit that part out. But I was trying to get it to where the lighting was good. Anyway, we got our hair together. It's a nice color. We rounded everything out. And in case you want to know, because I was trying to record it, but I don't know when I'm gonna get that edited. I use 9NA and CB, 9CB, and it just kind of rounded everything together. Yes. Anyway, your girl turned 32. And while I was turning 32, there was so much going on the internet. And so we're gonna get into it. So today we're talking about which family member are you. Okay, talking about the Braxtons, for sure. I'm trying to find my notes, y'all. Hold on. Today is the 27th. Okay, here we go. All right. So we're going to be exploring the family dynamics of the Braxtons. Okay, there's been a lot of talking on social media about, just from the clips, right? Just from the clips. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't really watch TV. And the last time I watched the Braxtons, I may have been in high school, middle school, or something like that. But I was in the know. Okay, I was one of them nosy children. You know what I mean? Like the other kids would go outside and I would be inside soaking up all the tea. So I enjoyed myself quite thoroughly. And so I want to talk about it, not from a celebrity news standpoint, but from a, self-improvement, being better, doing better, standpoint for ourselves. How can we be better as people and as family members and different things of that nature? So with the help of ChatGPT, because I'd be busy, I had them to give me like the astrology signs, the zodiac signs of each cast member, and I was trying to match it up and do some really extensive psychoanalyzing. Now, there is some deep things we can go into. We just gonna keep it surface level, okay? We're gonna keep it surface level, kind of keep it PG-13, something like that. We're just gonna keep it like that, you know what I'm saying? And I want to know, like, I feel like when you see those discussions, I see a lot of discussions on threads and stuff. It's just like people are going back and forth. They're going at it. There are some people that are on Tamar's side. There are some people that are on Towanda's side. There are people that, are looking at Toni in a different light. There are people who, we wish Traci was here. It was just a lot going on. And I just feel like, I feel like the people who are on taking different sides, like they are channeling their energy because they see themselves in the person that they are trying to defend, right? And maybe I'm a little biased, but they biased too, but I'm gonna try to be unbiased, okay? And I wanna know, which family member are you? I know which one I think I am, but after I go everything, maybe we'll switch it up. But I'm going to try to be unbiased. And this is a moment. I feel like this is a moment, even though we're talking about other people's families and different things of that nature, is a perfect opportunity for us to look within ourselves to see, well, maybe this is how I'm showing up and this is how I see things and how can I heal, right? Because I know the family was on Elania. Girl, you know what I'm talking about. Fix My Life or whatever. And I just feel like they're still not able to heal their family and different things of that nature. I feel like the healing, well, if you heal, where's the check? You see what I'm saying? So there's that. Okay. So we can't heal because we wouldn't have a plot. You see, so we gotta have some problems, but I feel like some things we gotta really work on. You know what I mean? But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So first person we're gonna talk about is the parent, because I feel like children are products of their environment, products of their parents, and how siblings interact with each other really rely on how the parents, what was the relationship with the parent. Because if your siblings don't get along and there's all this energy between the siblings, then that means the parent wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing to foster a collaborative, a community-oriented environment for their kids, right? Period. The studies have shown it. I'm not going to pull them up, but studies have shown if the siblings don't get along, that's because of the parent, okay? The dynamics between that. So let's go ahead and clock the T for Mama Evelyn, okay? She is a Capricorn, okay? I have extensive research with Capricorns, okay? But we're just gonna, you know what I mean? Okay, so the matriarch, okay? Matriarch. Capricorns are when I think of Capricorn, I think of the energy of like the stature, okay? The status, maybe workaholics, you know what I mean? Prioritizing responsibilities and duty over, emotions and different things of that nature. Actually, Capricorn is opposite of Cancer. You will need that information later, okay? So it's just kind of like, the Capricorn is going to, at the end of the day, we need this bread, okay? And I don't like the lighting because I look a little orange. But anyway, we need this bread. We need this money, right? They're not really emotional. I really feel like they're more concrete. They're not really into all the abstracts and everything like that. If it don't make dollars, then it just don't make sense, okay? Keep that in your pockets, okay? They do have responsibility. But if something happened to them, they kind of harbor those feelings, you know what I mean? Harbor those feelings, and it can seep into different things. It could seep into everything, really. So if we know the story of Mama Evelyn, she had a husband, he did her wrong, and she kind of carried that energy and it seeped in, right? Seeped into the children. Now, everybody got secrets in their family, and I feel like some of the secrets at the depth, okay, are a little troubling. Okay, but we're gonna keep it, you know what I'm saying? Because it's allegedly, and I don't know them and they don't know me and everything like that. But it's just kind of like you can make, judgments based off of certain behaviors that the children exhibit, right? But I feel like that is not going to come out into the light because that Capricorn energy is all about the status quo, keeping things under wraps. You know what I'm saying? We're going to handle this in-house, right? So just keep all of that energy in there, okay? Keep all of that energy in there. It's all about control. Now, why is this going to be important for real? Well, in my other videos, when I talk about ancestral vibes, spiritual, just all that, you know what I mean? I told you that Pluto was leaving Capricorn, moving into Aquarius. You need this information. You need this, okay? You need this information. I promise it's going to tie it all together. But, we're moving from the status quo and doing things the way we've been doing it and under the rugs, under the covers, all that stuff, and moving into, being a little bit more transparent, being a little bit more honest. You're starting to see not just this family, not just this, celebrity dynamic. You're seeing people for who they are. You can't hide that no more, right? And so now, the public perception of certain things, you know what I'm saying? Period. Moving on. We're going to go ahead and start talking. I want to go ahead and I want to talk about I don't know if I want to do Traci first or I want to do Toni first. I'm going to do Traci first, okay? Because I feel like, Traci, even though, we give the flowers after people pass away, we don't give it to them while they're alive. You know what I mean? People talk about how much they care about you and everything like that, but you don't see that. Like, you never see that. She never got to feel that love the way she felt like she was supposed to feel that love. You know what I mean? I definitely feel like there's a little bit of resentment there. Okay, this is public knowledge. Public knowledge that they were in a group. She, got a little preggers. You know what I mean? Had a little baby. And they didn't want her to do that because of the career and everything like that. Sound very much like a Capricorn. Sound very much like the music industry. They want you to keep music, keep going and different things of that nature. We're going to talk about that in another video, right? But it's just kind of like, so the resentment, okay, because we had our big break and you chose to make a decision that affects all of us, right? So they probably feel like she was selfish and different things of that nature, and they just harboring that resentment, right? Meanwhile, she is the underdog. Now, Traci was an Aries, okay, but she had a Cancer moon, so very much emotional, opposite of the Capricorn mother, right? So her moon, her emotions was in the opposite direction of the mother, okay? So just keep that in mind. But it's just like being the underdog, right? She had an album. She did really well with her album. She did very well with her money and her finances. You might not have saw her in the mix and different things of that nature, but I feel like she was a good rock for people to depend on. You go depend on Traci, and Traci kept it 150. Like, she kept it 150. She told you the truth. She was always telling the truth, regardless. And she didn't care about that Hollywood stuff. Like, she was going to come to you, sit that bag down and have a conversation. I like Traci. I do. Okay. We respect her, and rest in peace. Okay. Rest in peace. All right. Moving on. We're going to go ahead and go to Toni, because I ain't going to lie. If it wasn't for Toni, we wouldn't have the notoriety that we currently have. It is because of Toni, because of her success. Yes, they had a girl group, but Toni was able to cross over into open doors, right? I'm not going to say she the Kim Kardashian of her family, but I will say, and I'm not even going to say, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't like that comparison, like, oh, you did this to that. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry if the lighting is bad. It's getting on my nerves. Woo, let me find a light. Let me see if I can put this light on, because it's bothering me, and the lights are on. You guys. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm tripping. I'm going to edit that part out too. I'm going to edit it out. Hold on. Because I'm cooking. Let me cook. Okay. Yeah. I got a whole list of things. Christmas is coming up, and we are going to, hopefully this is better. Okay, hopefully this is better. We're going to edit that part out. But it was bothering me because it's so dark. But it's light outside, but it's messing up with the blinds. I don't know. Hold on. We're going to edit this part out. We're going to have to. We're going to have to do something. I need some light. Okay, it's literally 4 o'clock. Anyway, moving on. We're gonna have to figure something out, because apparently daylight saving is supposed to be happening. Anyway, Toni, we wouldn't have success if it wasn't for Toni. We needed that crossover appeal. But could you imagine being in a girl group, with your sisters, and you are going to be the breakout star? Right? You're the breakout star. You're the one that people are coming to see. You know what I mean? Not to be Dave Ruffin, but they're coming to see you, right? And, it separates, it breaks up the family dynamic. And so, you have the matriarch. I want to make sure that all of my kids are feeling success. Also, I don't want one child to feel like, one is more than the other. Like, I want to maintain, the equilibrium of the family dynamic, but it's just kind of like, now we finna eat off of Toni, right? Because, we have to respect that, okay? So, how do you, being a Libra, balance? Because she is a Libra sun, Cancer moon, right? So now we have 2 children that are Cancer moons. Let me make sure I have my notes. Yes, Cancer moon. So Toni Braxton is a Libra sun and a Cancer moon. So 2 children now are opposite of the mother, right? So Toni Braxton, okay, boom. You successful, But now you have to balance your success, your happiness in relation to, now I got to take my siblings with me everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? Now I got to pave the way. You know, it might be better to not mix business and family. You know, I should hire other people who are going to show up and do whatever, but mommy is making me hire my sisters. And now my sisters want me to pay them, but I would prefer to pay actual, not saying that they're not professionals, but I would prefer, because it's a different dynamic. When you talking to your sister versus talking to somebody else, like you can be about your business, but you can't be about your business with your family, because if you're about your business with your family, now your mom is saying, oh, I think you were too harsh. So now it's like, if you ain't doing what I need you to do, you gonna go over there and tell mom gonna tell me, now I gotta do all this other stuff. No. That's the energy I'm feeling, right? And then you can't even enjoy your success because they looking like it should have been me. How can you enjoy your success when your family is like, you in a girl group and you the one that's successful and they feel like it should have been them? Right? You can't be friends with people that want to be you. You cannot, like, that is not a healthy dynamic right there. That is not a healthy dynamic. So it's just like, dang, you got to share every little thing with your sisters. Okay, boom. If I got to share everything with my sisters, I'm going to try to put them on. So boom, let's go right over to Tamar. I had it a certain type of way, but let's go straight to Tamar. Okay. Because I feel like out of everything, Tamar has taken these opportunities, right? And went as far as she could take it. Okay. She has her own brand. She had her own album, did very well. Now, Traci had an album and it was good too, but I don't think it was as good as Tamar, but at the same time, different strokes for different folks. They both found success, right? They both found success. So even though their sister is big sis, they found success, right? Doing something outside of their sister, not their husband, not nothing, just doing the success. Now, here's the thing. Tamar was finding success, right, before Vince, okay? I'm not trying to talk about their husband because I don't want to talk about, because if you talk about the husband, then you talk about the other stuff. So I don't want to talk about the other stuff. I just want to talk about, keep it clean, right? Just the person, okay? I don't want to talk about the husband. I do not want to talk about that, because if I talk about the husband, now we got some real problems, okay? So boom. So you get to Tamar, she's singing background. She's doing ad lib. She had a couple of singles, you know what I mean? She's on a couple of things, okay? She meet Vince, was the manager at the time. Hey, you got to get it how you live, right? She's out here getting it how she lives. She's out here doing the best that she can with the cards that was dealt to her, okay? So period, I'm not gonna fault you. Now here's the thing. Tamar is a Pisces sun, straight up emotions, dreamy, creative, all that energy, right? With a moon in Aquarius. Now, didn't I just tell you that Pluto has moved into the Aquarius? And so what that means is a lot of digital vibes, moving into digital, moving into having these conversations, moving into, shedding light on secrecy and different things of that nature, clocking the tea on the internet. Didn't she get a cease and desist? Move. I didn't hear none of that. But what I'm saying is that's what we're seeing, right? And then with this Pisces, okay, all this creative energy, all of this just a range of emotions. Okay. When I think of Tamar, I think of high spirited, like a home girl. Like, I like her energy. I do. And I like how honest she is. She is exuberant. She is. And I feel like people, hate that, because y'all, people hate to see other people shine in their light. Okay. People don't like her delivery. Okay. And I'm going to talk about that, because delivery is subjective. If there is truth, then do it matter? I mean, coming from somebody that says, yeah, I'm being biased. I feel the bias energy, because, I had to learn tact. Okay, I had to learn tact. There's a time and a place to say stuff. There's a time and a place to act in a certain way. So people felt like she was very extra in the way that she did things. But at the same time, I feel like the show wouldn't have been at what it was if it wasn't Tamar bringing the energy. She brought the energy. She made you want to watch. Like all the really, really funny parts of their show is because of Tamar. Okay, because I love Toni, but she's chill. She's not really doing, she really didn't need this. She probably didn't even want to be on the TV like that for real. She's like, I got a legacy. I don't need to be up here with y'all on TV, right? They probably got an opportunity. She was like, I don't really feel like doing this. The sister said they want to do it. So boom, here she go, right? Because the mom was like, this would be a great opportunity for the family. Think of the family, the family, the family, the family. Toni probably didn't want to be there. Okay? She didn't want to be there for real like that, period. So if it wasn't for Tamar, then we wouldn't be watching the way we was watching like that for real. We need that. We need that. She know what to do. She know how to bring the people together, right? That's that moon in Aquarius, gathering of people, right? Garnering that support. Now, the problem is when you have, different things happening in your family, right? And the baby who has always been the little, she out here with all this energy, she was never supposed to be as big as that's what they feel. Okay, that's what they feel. Now, I feel like Toni definitely took Tamar under her wing. Tamar took what she had and she did what she could with what she had, period. Okay, that's the cards that she had, that's what she did. That's what she did. She did what she could, right? Moving on. Moving on to Towanda. Okay, now here we go. Moving on to Towanda. Okay. Towanda is a Virgo sun, okay, and a Gemini moon. Now, in the beginning, the first season, Towanda was brought on like she was the most responsible. Keep that in your pockets. And I definitely see that, right? Because she's cool, calm, and collected. She is a Virgo. So Virgo is all about perfectionism, all about, just being that perfect person. Productivity would be a great word to describe that. High achieving. She was a secretary, personal assistant for Toni. And I think that is a great job for her because, responsibility and different things of that nature. But keep that in mind, what I told you about working with family. Okay. Because she could have been doing some work, being the assistant and everything like that. And Toni want to make a different career move. I don't think that's a good idea, and all this other stuff. And then if you don't believe what I believe, you go back and tell mom what what I'm saying? Now all this family drama and business does not go together. It just don't, because you can't make sound business choices with that emotional thing on there, right? Now, being that, the mom is a Capricorn, I feel like she should understand that business and finances and family just don't mix. But it's just like maintaining that, because if you got one child doing a wonderful job taking care of you, but what if all of your kids could take care of you? All of them have a check. You see what I'm saying? I'm getting money for everybody, but I'm just looking at it from a Capricorn standpoint. I'm just looking for a Capricorn standpoint. No tea, no shade. No, nobody's saying that. I'm just looking at it from a Capricorn, from a business standpoint, right? Because parents, they're gonna get they percentage. The parents gonna get their percentage. Period. Off top. All right. Moving on to Towanda. Now, here's the thing. There was an issue where, they were saying allegedly that Towanda was stealing. That's the thing that I saw. Okay. That Towanda was stealing, right, from Tamar. And at the table, Tamar brought it up. Tamar brought it up in her way that she brought it up. And, Towanda did not deny. She did not deny, but she brought up another situation of thievery, right? And then it just kind of went into this whole debacle. Now, here's the thing. Ratings. We got to have ratings. We got to have a plot. We got to have people tuning into the show, period. Because it made me want to watch. And I don't even watch TV like that. I don't even be on TV. I was like, ooh, let's get into it. But I was like, you know what? There's something that people aren't seeing. there's a dynamic of the family that the people aren't paying attention to. We're so busy between who's right and who's wrong, who didn't deny it and we're not looking at the psychology of it. You know what I mean? And we're not so let's get into it. So Towanda is a Virgo sun and a Gemini moon. Gemini moons, they on here today and they over there tomorrow. Okay. Kanye West is Gemini. Also, something you need to think about is all the people who do things serially. Like they have a serial vibe to it, right? They're Virgos and Geminis. You know what I mean? Virgos and Gemini. So off that right there, Towanda, I am not entrusting. She does have a record. I feel like most people on the TV all have records, but she got a record for, cashing some checks and stuff like that. And hey, that's none of our business. But when we talk about the character, I want to talk about when we were looking at the actual footage of them sitting at the table. You know what I mean? She did not deny the allegation. Instead, she deflected, right? She deflected. And because Tamar is the youngest is the crybaby. That's the stereotype. Youngest is the stereotype of being crying, noisy, spoiled, always trying to get their way. She loud, she ghetto. Where she get that from? She don't get it from us and da 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 da. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to lie. People who have that, exuberant energy, when a child exhibits certain behaviors, it is usually due to something triggering happening to them, right? And not feeling heard as a child. All right. So that's where their energy is coming from. That's what I'm feeling. She didn't get she didn't feel seen or heard as a child. She may have had something going on and she told and they didn't say nothing. So now she loud for no reason. But that's also could be her personality. Everybody you got people that are up there and then you have people that are mellow. There's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like we should have respect for everybody. You know what I mean? How they present, how they express themselves. Everybody is valid. And I think the issue is she did not feel valid in her expression. She was not made to feel valid in her expression as a child. And so now, right now she just loud. Okay. She have a good time. Right. And here's the other part. So now we sitting at the table, you bringing up something that has happened to you and you're trying to you did this to me. That's thank you, but no thank you. You're using your words, maybe a little loud, but you're doing your thing. You telling her hey, you did this, right? And you're saying it in front of other people because when you have a conversation with one person, okay, boom, you might not have gotten what you was looking for when you had the conversation with just that one person, right? So think about it. She's painted into a corner with her sister, her mom, everybody there. So the mask is falling off we thought you was responsible, but you're not really responsible. Whole time, all of them know that she's not responsible. They just been covering it up. But Tamar is tired of people covering it up, right? They tired of them covering it up. Tired of them sweeping stuff under the rug, right? They sent her a cease and desist. She's tired of people acting like stuff ain't happened when it did. She tired of that. And they look, we trying to look. Okay. We understand you upset, but at the same time, don't do too much because nobody in here trying to go to jail. Okay, period. But it's just kind of when do we start telling the truth? When do we start seeing people for who they are and treating them accordingly? When do we start making excuses? Period. I understand. I feel that. I feel that energy. I feel it. But it's just kind of Towanda is sitting there and deflecting it. And because she is able to keep her composure, she is more believable because she's calm. Right? She's calm. And so she's able to play. She got that poker face in her. I like that. Got that poker face in her. And she's just I'm not the only one that stole something. Boom. That's what I saw, right? That's what I saw on the thing. She didn't say boom, but that's I was ooh, there it go. There it go. But it's just kind of you're more likely to be believed, right? Because you got that poker card, and people will believe you, right? They'll believe you. You're speaking in a, like, it's the authority, maintaining control, maintaining authority in the situation. Tamar is seen as erratic, right? She's erratic. She's emotional. She's screaming. She's doing all this crazy stuff, right? Crazy stuff, right? Meanwhile, she's maintaining control. She's maintaining composure. She's maintaining the vibe. So it looked like she winning the argument. Meantime, she getting ate up. She's getting ate up, but she's maintaining. She's maintaining. Let me tell you something. The reason people can do things serially, right, is because they maintain their composure. Okay, that's how they can have so many victims. That's why they're literally crazy. Like they can finagle. They can finagle different rooms. They can have a conversation. They maintain control, right? They maintain. It doesn't matter what it look like, but they maintain. All right? Period. They maintain. And people, the perception, like, is everything. What people think, that's what it is. Even if it's not necessarily true. People think Tamar is doing too much, so they're not going to necessarily, oh, you could have said it better. Oh, you could have did this better, da-da-da-da-da. And I feel like that's another form of victim blaming. Because, she could have said things better. She could have did whatever, blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't negate the fact, right, that her sister stole. If somebody stole some money out your check, okay, we ain't got nothing to talk about. We ain't got nothing to talk about, baby. There's nothing more to discuss. We're moving this table around, okay? And you need to run me my money right now, period. That's what it's about, okay? And then, what about, the fact that I noticed that she said, oh, you don't know where I live, but I know where you live, and da-da-da-da-da. Imagine thinking that your family cares about you because they really, really care about you. Meanwhile, they really just need a check. And I feel that for Tamar. I feel that for Toni. Like, you think that your family really, really care about you and they really gonna do right by you, but they're really just here for a check. So yeah, she should be paying her employees. You know what I mean? She should be. But she's looking at it like, boom, I put y'all on. I gave y'all so many opportunities and you didn't take not one of them. So now you mad at me. You feel resentful because you're my background singer and da-da-da-da. But it's just kind of like, what did you do with the opportunities that I gave you? Period. Like, like, how long y'all gonna be on me? So it's like, even Whitney Houston felt this, because it's like, how long do I have to work to maintain your lifestyle when you didn't even, this ain't even about you. This is my thing. You know what I mean? So you have to contend. I'm going to talk about this in another video. Okay. I have another video. We're going to be talking about women and being a winner and, being a high performing woman and having success. We're going to talk about that in another video, but it's just kind of like, imagine being successful, doing what you were supposed to be doing, and then you care about your family, you want to help your family, but it's like they only call you when they need something, right? They want you to fund their bad ideas, clocking some tea, okay? All of them, clocking the tea. And it's just kind of like, you trying to put them up on game. You trying to put them in front of people, introduce them to people, and they can't even do da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like, you trying, but they not getting it for themselves. Let's move on to Trina. Okay, because I feel like that last little part is Trina anyway. I'm going to be honest. I never really paid that much attention to Trina. I liked her, though. I liked her. She was very easygoing. She's a Sagittarius, okay? Sagittarius, and she has her moon in Leo. So for her, I'm feeling like she's very, I don't know, like with that Sagittarius, you could be on today, off today. It's a double sign, just like Libra, just like Gemini and Sagittarius. Like they're kind of on and off at the same time. But for Trina, I feel like she be playing different sides, and she don't know whose side she on as a family member. You know what I mean? She just gonna be on whoever's side that's gonna do whatever. Everybody gonna be friends with Toni, period. Because you wouldn't be eating if it wasn't for Toni. But it's just kind of like she not really trying to make waves, and she gonna go with whoever she feel like is winning at that particular time. Now, I will say she is a creative, and I definitely feel like she has tried to create opportunities for herself, but I just didn't feel like they took off because we weren't able, like, she's kind of alternative, right? I get very much alternative energy. And so it's just kind of like being a Black girl in alternative. It's like the aesthetic just wasn't there. The marketing just wasn't there. And plus, you know, she was married and all this other stuff. Like, yeah, it was a lot going on. But I just kind of feel like she has been trying to break free from the family expectations by doing something different, trying to separate herself. I feel like all of them have tried to separate themselves, but it's just kind of like she may have just been like a little, I'm not going to say complacent. I just don't feel like I've seen enough efforts from her. But at the same time, it's like, is that what she want? Like, do she even want to be like, is it because everybody else is doing it? Like, it's just a gray area. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't really get a lot of energy from Trina. I like her. She's fun, but I just don't feel like I just feel like she's just going with the wind. You know, this is a great opportunity for everybody. Let's have fun. Like, she was always the fun sister to me. Like, I just felt like she was the fun sister. She wasn't really here for she was here for the optics and stuff like that. I'm on TV, but I don't know. I feel like she could have worked a little bit harder at trying to like maybe get in with some PR or maybe getting with some different people, branding people to figure out, you know, her brand identity or something, because it's just, we're drawing a blank there. You know, we're drawing a blank. You know, I don't know. Between her and Towanda, I don't know. I prefer Trina a little bit more than Towanda. But yeah, she's just, you know, we're here for the fun and the vibes. Pass the pie. Like, that's what she's giving for me. You know what I mean? Just the fun energy, just kind of, I'm not going to say airhead vibe. I don't know. But it's just, I just don't feel it because she's on whoever's team that is convenient for her. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just never, I don't know. I just don't get the energy like that from her like that. Because usually when the other girls are fighting, you know, she's kind of to the sideline and she really just like, girl, I'm sipping tea. But she not really, you know, like, it's just, we don't really have a lot to say about Trina. You know, I don't have a lot to say about her. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to pull things, but I just don't feel it. I just don't feel it. Not to say that that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I feel like she's the feel-good sister. She can get along with anybody. You know what I mean? Things might happen in the family, but things just happen in the family. You know what I mean? And she's just gonna, you know, go with the flow, do whatever. And just like I definitely feel like they all kind of separate themselves, trying to carve out a space for themselves in the world separate from their sisters. I bet, you know, because they're kind of close in age, they probably did everything together. So it's like they want to have something of their own, but then also having to live within the success, you know, shadow of their older sister. I don't know which one is older. You know what I mean? So it's just those dynamics. It's all of these different dynamics. Okay. So which family member are you? Right? Listen. I feel like they could all, I feel like they, as a family, they could all be like really good friends, but they're just not. I believe Toni Braxton said if they weren't her family, she wouldn't be, you know, I'm not going to lie. I feel like, you know, Toni's favorite is actually Tamar because she has taken the most, she has made the most out of the opportunities that were provided to her, right? And she doesn't have to depend on her sister. You know, she was able to help with their mom before she married her husband and different things of that nature. So I think that actually might be her favorite, but I don't know. And she has her own life. You know what I mean? Everybody else is just like sucking Toni dry. And that's what I feel. Okay. Now, I will say as a collective, I am a little bit worried about their choices in male partnership because Yeah, I'm a little worried about that. I am. But at the same time, water seeks at its own level. And a lot of times you will find, that the women or whatever, you repeat the dynamic in a relationship that your parents may have faced and different things of that nature. But I don't want to discuss that. I just want to talk about the family dynamic. I will say, though, that they do allow their significant others to make conversation about their siblings. And the problem with that is, when you got family problems, you got family problems. But at the end of the day, your significant other shouldn't really be speaking on your family like that for real. And if they feel so bold as to say something out loud, then that means that you was having conversation with them, with your significant, you was having a conversation and they feel bold enough to say it. Cause most of the time, normal people just keep that under wraps. Like if you don't like your in-laws, you don't like your in-laws, but we don't really say it like that for real, because at the end of the day, ain't nobody gonna have you like your own family, right? At the end of the day. So you don't want to be in a situation where you're alienated because you're in this partnership, you know what I mean? And they're trying to draw you away from your family. But what happens if your family dynamic is toxic and your significant other is trying to help you see the toxicity, right? Two things can be right at the same time. It's all connected. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but the thing is, when you see people at face value, we watch and we see the TV shows and different things of that nature. There are a lot of things that we don't see, okay? There are a lot of things that we don't see. We have to keep in mind that these people are perfectly okay with having and showcasing their life on TV for us to discuss, right? But we shouldn't get so caught up in it that we forget to live our own lives and we forget to, look at ourselves in the mirror, So I see when people, say they agree with Towanda, for me, I think you're crazy. Yeah, Tamar might be acting crazy, but you're actually crazy. Now, here's the thing. People were saying, oh, I don't like family members that always bring up everything that you ever did for them. I get that. And I agree. Because if you're helping somebody, you don't want to be constantly reminded of everything they ever did for you, right? Yeah, but at the same time, some of us are irresponsible. Some of us are greedy. Some of us, we're going to take whatever we can get and we don't care who fall underneath of that. And we want people to finance our bad decisions. That's what that Towanda sound like. I don't know. It's none of my business. Right? But I'm just saying. Okay. So if you agree with Towanda, that's how I'm feeling. Like, I feel like you might be, you know what I mean? Irresponsible. That's what I'm feeling. That's the energy, right? Because you would have to know the whole story, okay, for you to agree with it. But I don't think it's okay. But what if you are in a family dynamic that we just talked about, where the people, they're eating off of their older or more successful siblings, right? And they deep down, they harbor this resentment because they weren't the one that was chosen. Toni was chosen. They wanted her, okay? They wanted her. She had the voice. They wanted her. She was picked, okay? Out of a group, she was picked, period. And so all of them secretly wanted to be picked. They were singing together, doing everything together, and one of them is getting chose, then that means, well, what happens now? We were supposed to do this together. So now, or it could have been me. Why wasn't it me? I could have did that. That would have been a great opportunity for me, but it was her. And so now you have this resentment. And so it's no matter what she do, it don't matter how much she give, it will never be enough. Because at the end of the day, they thought it should have been them. It should have been them. So it ain't gonna never be enough. Okay? And then they gonna forget that you did something for them. They gonna forget it. Because you're gonna be like, well, what about what I gave you last time? Okay, what about what I gave you last time? Just gave you some money. I just paid for that. Okay, what you mean? You spending money like you earned it. Okay, period. You my family, but you spending money like you earned it, like you clocked in, like you went to voice rehearsal and stuff like that. You late to my rehearsal. I could hire somebody else, but I'm hiring you because we family. But you know, you're not even doing what you're supposed to be doing as a family member. You're not even doing the justice. You're not even acting right, using proper decorum when we in front of these different, you embarrassing me in front of these people. I can't take you nowhere. Yeah. Imagine that. That's the energy. That's the energy in the room. And I feel like we're not discussing that. I don't think people be discussing like the different energy between, like the dynamics between the family members and who's doing what and who's feeling this and that. Like you just kind of take stuff at face value, right? But you have to keep in mind that these are the type of people that have no problem showing just enough so that they can get ratings, so that they can be on TV, so that like you harbor the energy, all right, of people talking about you. The fact that we're talking about them, giving them attention, that's what celebrities want. Not just them, but everybody. They want this, like, I need you to watch my video, right? So it's just like we buy into this, but we're not looking at the big picture, right? So my question is like, which family member are you? Okay. How do you show up? Like before the video, before we were having this conversation, like how do you show up in the world? And like, what do you identify? Okay. Personally, my grandmother is a Capricorn, but she's not, I see a little bit of the shadow side, but I don't see all of it. Like my grandmother is and I love Capricorns. I love Capricorns. I don't want, like, this is the disclaimer before we end the video. I don't want anybody to feel like I was talking bad about anybody, but you see the shadow side of people. So you kind of just have to talk about it. So when I was talking about Mama Evelyn, you know, we respect our elders. We respect our elders, but my grandmother is a Capricorn and she's my favorite person. Her and my mom sometimes, but you know, and my mom is a Leo and I'm a Libra and a Scorpio moon, right? So I'm clocking the T for everybody. I was always in the know, telling people's business and everything like that. So it's just like, I feel it. I feel it in my soul, but it's just kind of like, yeah, which family member were you? And how does that affect how you show up in the world and how you think? I am very, very interested in that because I have my thoughts. At first, I thought that I identify a lot with Tamar, but I also identify clearly with Toni because I am the oldest and the most responsible, the actual most responsible one. Because if you're responsible, nobody has to say you're responsible. You know what I mean? Like nobody has to ever say it. In fact, you never say it. It often goes overlooked. Like you're supposed to be successful. You're supposed to be responsible, but nobody ever checks on the responsible child because, you know what I mean? The only thing I don't like is how they treated Traci. You know, I don't like that, you know, because at the end of the day, they all have their own lives. Right? They have their own lives and she chose to do something for herself. And that decision led to the quote unquote end of their, you know what I mean? But there was no ending. But it's just at that time, they probably felt like some type of, you know, this is the end and you're doing this to us and why can't you be here for us and da 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 da. But I feel like all of them, like most girl groups and everything, felt like, how do I differentiate myself from them? And I need to have something that belongs to myself. Okay, I need my own thing. I need my own air. And so I feel like that was her escape. You know what I mean? Rest in peace to Traci. I loved her. She kept it real. I liked her. I don't know, even though I'm a Libra and I have Scorpio, I have a lot of Scorpio placements. I love that Aries energy. I like that. I like that fight energy. I like that. Let's go outside. I don't have any Aries placements, but I do like that energy. Anyway, which family member are you, right? And how are you going to use what we just said to make you a better person? This was a reflective, okay? Turn and talk and go ahead and write that down, okay? I will see you in the next video.